Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today's question comes from Ray McDaniels. Now, this came back last March, so he may have his license by now, but he didn't at that time. He was currently studying for his tech and maybe general. His wife would like him to turn their yard barn into the Radio Shack and for other hobbies of his. And his question is it feasible to operate a shack with, say, both a UHF, VHF, and an HF radio equipped station powered by a solar system? Absolutely. I'm set up to do that myself if I want to. Or if I have to connect to my home electric about 30 feet from the house, will I need to still bond to the house ground, assuming a ground rod at the yard barn electric box? You have many options. Let me tell you what we did for my wife's studio, which is in a 9 by 12 foot shed that has been finished inside. It's been well insulated, it's got electrical, it's got windows and things like that. It's a tiny house without the bathroom and the kitchen. It is currently connected to the house, sits right next to it, and I don't use that as my shack, so I don't have a separate ground. But if I ran electrical from the house to the shed, which I've done, it's interesting because it isn't actually a bond. It's the shack has a plug that plugs into a outlet that the electrician put in there, so it's actually detachable. But if you wanted to put a shack in there, yes, you want your ground right there at the shack. If you put in electrical from the house, okay, the yard barn will not have its own, it will not have a connection between the neutral and the ground in the box there. That's done in the house. You'll have to talk to an electrician because in your specific area, which I don't know because I don't have an address for you, you may have to do that, but normally what you do is run conduit out from the house. You'd keep the neutral and the ground separate because they only connect at one point, and that's in your main panel. Now, you'll have your ground for the station out there and all the grounding things, and then you will run a number 6 wire, preferably bare and stranded, buried between the ground at the shack and the utility ground. It keeps everything bonded together. Because you run into some interesting little things, like in your power supply, which has a 3-plug cord. You plug in, and the third element is the ground, green wire ground. And then coming out the other side of most power supplies, the negative, which goes to your 12 volts, is connected straight through to that. Now, that's also grounded to your rod out there. You shouldn't have a problem with that, but it is possible. And if you do that, take an electrician's advice. Do not, under any circumstances, do not defeat safety grounds. Keep them intact. If you have a problem with an RF ground loop, consult an electrician and get that squashed, and they'll get that fixed. But a little bit of effort to get that fixed is worth it in the safety that having all your grounds intact will offer you. Now let's talk about some practicalities about your shed. The big one is weather. If you are in a place where it's not overly hot in summer, then you have a stinking bad winter. If you are in a place that has a nice winter, then you have a stinking bad summer. Okay? And you're not going to want to go out to your shack if it's 30 below or it's 115. Okay? You're just not going to want to. So you're going to have to do something about that. Either install a window air conditioner, those are noisy, or install a split unit. You can get a split unit from Home Depot for about $1,000, but you'll need to have someone who knows about such things help you install it. It can be done yourself, and those are very quiet, which you'll really like. And get one of them that both heats and cools. Okay, make sure your shack is insulated, and then you'll want to go out to your shack because it's going to be a very nice place. So as far as doing it with solar, you won't be able to do any environmental control with solar unless you put in a heck of a lot of solar. Okay? I think for environmental control, you're probably going to want to put in electricity out to the shack, and I would strongly suggest getting a licensed electrician to do that for you. Now, I know in many states, homeowners can do their own wiring. But I will tell you, I've fixed many a plug and even wired a basement once. But wiring 110 volts is a whole different story from putting in an extension, extending grounds, all that kind of thing. Find somebody who is an electrician who can either guide you, supervise you, or do it for you. Okay, I had a plug put in outside for my RV, and one which I no longer have, and the my wife's studio. Okay, so you can do either one that you like. I think you're going to enjoy it. I think probably by now you are already a tech or a general, and I hope that it has worked out really well for you, Ray. And so, until we next meet, 73.